Right, guys, we should be live. Hopefully you can see and hear me okay. Fingers crossed. Just wait for a few people for eyes on, just to see if you can. Looks like I'm live. I'm finally figuring this thing out, which is good. Where are we? I'm just going to go into the comments so I can see you guys. Just let everyone know. There's a few people here, so everyone, we are live. Right, if you can just let me know in the comments, guys, that you can see and hear me okay, if that's all right. Oh, my door's open. Don't know what happened there. Hi, Gareth. Good to see you. Good to see you, Simon. Great to have everybody here. Just waiting for a few more people to join us. So today I want to talk about Section 3s. I want to talk about insurance liabilities. I want to talk about changes that are going on in place on Amazon at the moment, because it feels like there's quite a lot going on, and it feels like Amazon are getting stricter in certain areas. Are they tightening up? Are we going through a period of time, which, Amazon is very much a seasons business. So there is definitely a case of they at times when they are stricter and when they are not strict about certain things, and why they're implementing things and why they're not implementing certain things. So we want to make sure that everybody gets the opportunity to, if you've not experienced some of this stuff yourself, because it very much looks like, which has always been the case, but it very much looks like the US and the UK are aligning more so than they ever have done in terms of business practices. It used to be, and well, it very much still is the case, that when something happens in America, it's generally trialed or done there for a period of 6 months, and then it's brought over to the UK market, which is what we've seen with the insurance liabilities. It's what we've seen, and I suspect what we'll see at some point with Section 3s as well. Hiya, good to see you. Good to see you, Ayabambi. Hopefully I pronounced that okay. Let me know if I did or didn't. We got James watching. We've got Julie, Radu, Yusuf, Victorious. Welcome everyone. Good to see everyone here. So yeah, I think what we can expect to see is some of the stuff us guys that are selling over in the US at the moment, which which for a lot of people is not particularly pleasant in terms of Section 3s and just things like that. I think Amazon is really going through a period of streamlining at the moment. So I want to hear your guys' thoughts, because it's just me and you today. So I want to know what your guys say. Does Amazon feel riskier at the moment? Does it feel like it's too much in Amazon's favor? And I know that's a loaded question, and I've kind of done it deliberately. But does success feel unattainable on Amazon? Do you feel that there are just too much red tape, too many barriers in place? Let me know your thoughts on this, because we're always very guilty, I think, of talking about all the good, but sometimes we don't talk about the potential of the risk as well. So I've got good things to talk about as well, but I just want to be realistic in what we're talking about. So Raraka says super risky. Rachel says hi. Bob says morning all, tad early for me, but I'll get to the replay should I miss bits, of course. Good to have you here, Bob. So I don't know where you're are you based in the States at the moment, Bob? I think you are. Let me know. I can't quite remember. Rich has joined us as well. I think that's a fair comment about it being super risky. It feels risky at the moment, and I was talking to someone before coming on live. My argument is the risk is in the reward on Amazon, because the risk that comes with being an Amazon seller is actually, how can I word this? The more risky you are as an Amazon seller, the more protection you have. So Amazon has secret metrics within its system, in the sense that it doesn't it doesn't appreciate mediocre, sellers, to be perfectly honest. Ones that it feels it cannot keep up with demand. Maybe they're out of stock. They're not looking after their inventory properly. They're not getting enough sales to fulfill the demand. Whilst Amazon does treat all sellers the same in terms of IP violations or issues or anything like that, but there is a definite divide between sellers that are at a certain level and sellers that are not at a certain level. There is absolutely, and that's what we see with Section 3 in particular, why some sellers go to deactivation and some sellers don't go to deactivation because of their performance level on their account. So it becomes a little bit of a cat and mouse game, in the sense that you have to develop a strong level of risk to be an Amazon seller. You have to be okay with certain things. You have to be okay with dealing with obstacles. And that stuff takes time. So you can't go from today to tomorrow to being a new seller to, a super high risk tolerant seller. It has to be something that's developed over a period of time. But also be aware you are being judged by Amazon. If you do not develop your account within a certain period of time, or you're not fulfilling the demand that Amazon thinks you are not fulfilling, then you are simply not going to get the level of, I suppose, leniency or ability to fix things as quickly as someone else that's maybe a 7-figure seller. Doesn't mean that you have to be a 7-figure seller, but it just means whatever you are doing on your account, you have to be doing to the best of your ability. It's okay to be, a smaller seller below 7 figures, below 6 figures, but you have to know that the lane that you're working in, that you are working to it the best of your possible ability that you can. And I think that's the key. It's not necessarily about the size of what you're selling, but it's how you're selling and what you're doing at the rate that you're doing it. So loads of you are jumping on. It's cool. So I want this to be an interactive session today. So I want to talk to you guys about all of this. So Simon says, I think it's a positive move. It protects the seller as well as people that are not really told about the risks by the TikTok gurus. Absolutely. So I've been watching a few TikTok accounts lately to do with selling on Amazon, and there's some good people out there. There really are some good people out there, definitely, for sure. But there are some people that are flogging that dream to death, for sure. There's no doubt about it. But I will always stand by. You got to be sold the dream in some respect, because if you come across me and this is the first time that you've seen me talking about insurance liability, suspensions, blah, 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 I'm not the happiest person in the room talking about this. I'm being realistic. If you come across this and you listen to this, then the likelihood, regardless of if you're a positive person or not, you're going to think this is a bit risky for me. I don't think I'll try. So I do, whilst the gurus do, go a bit OTT, to a certain extent, you need that hook. You need someone to be able to say, look how sexy this is. Look how much you can do here. Because the end result is actually true. You can achieve that, but just not in the way maybe they're selling it, if that makes sense. So I'm not overly against the gurus in that respect, because they do get people on board. And I've had people say, I paid $4K for a course to get started. And maybe I'm speaking to them at the point where they've joined the Hive, or they've joined a mentoring program that we do or something. So it's got them to a certain point, and they're sort of saying, well, I could have got that information for free. Yes, but would you have started if you had to find it all out for yourself? If you had to delve deep into this, if you didn't make that mistake, could you have potentially got suspended if you hadn't have followed that information? So I think there's always two sides to every argument. I think the key is to use that to get into it, but then move into, hopefully, what you guys will agree, groups like this and run by other people like Ahmed and Vlad and people like that, where you can find the really good information that is going to maybe make things a little bit more realistic for you. Alex, sorry, James. I always call you Alex. Sorry, James. I don't know. I think 'cause I know a lot of people called Alex. So Alex is like a prominent name in my life. So I'm naturally drawn towards the Alex when I see it. James said, honestly, feel reluctant to enter in the US market due to the risk reward ratio not being great for me personally. So you heard me talk about this last week, and I want to follow it into this week as well. So since my and it blows my mind to actually even be talking about this, since my live last week where we spoke about the possibility of, is it possible to do 1 million in 12 months profit? I've actually moved one of my other people that I work with, one of my other clients, into that bracket now. So not only do I have one person that is on a 7-figure trajectory profit over the next 12 months, as of probably July, I'm going to say July because they're not quite there, but we've had those conversations today. As of that point, I now have a second person that is on that trajectory, selling in multiple markets, working towards. But again, I'm a personal believer in looking for you have to look for patterns in things. When people achieve things, why have they achieved it? And there's no doubt about it, these two people in particular, these two business owners, have a high risk tolerance. I spoke about that last week. They have, I'm not going to say an abnormal one because that makes it sound weird. It's not abnormal, but they just have a higher risk tolerance than I have. And that's how I have to judge it. I would actually put the reason why I went into bundles all these years ago, because they were the safest route, to be perfectly honest. So for me, I actually have a low to medium. I'm probably more on the lower side of a risk tolerance. Whereas these people, I would say that they're on the medium to high side on the risk. And that's why they've been able to do what they've do. If you hadn't watched last week's video, I'm not going to go over it again, but go back and watch that. But the fact is that this is becoming more and more commonplace. The gap is getting bigger for the people that are prepared to scale and expand their business and to really embrace what Amazon wants, what Amazon needs, and understand the market as it is. The opportunity has never been as big, guys. Yes, the risk is there. There's no doubt about it. But I said this earlier, life's risky. None of us, as I'm stealing this from Jim Rohn, none of us gets out alive. So, where is that point that we're going to take that risk and make that move? So, that's definitely going to be something that people want to consider. So Rara Carr says, super risky. The thing about insurance, living in the USA, selling in the UK, WTF, insurance, low inventory fee and shipping plan fee. Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. I think it's about understanding potentially why Amazon wants it. I agree with what Simon says. The insurance, I don't think, is a bad thing. Any type of business, I already have business insurance. Everybody should have business insurance. If you are running a business, again, unfortunately, if the TikTok guru didn't tell you need Amazon business insurance, then that's on them. But ultimately, this is a business, so therefore you are selling products in whatever, regardless of whether you create them yourself. Amazon, by the way, who knows this, put your hand up. Amazon make it absolutely clear in their terms of service that they don't care where you source that product from. They don't care who made it. They don't care. It's your problem. If a seller has an issue with it, if a buyer, a customer has an issue with that product, it's your problem. And you got to deal with it, particularly in America. And this is what they're bringing over here. They're wanting to bring over here this letting go of liability. Because in America, in the terms of service, they quite clearly state that if we have a complaint or your product that you sell, regardless if you've made it or not, so selling other people's products, you sell that product and someone has a problem with it, we're getting the money off you. Amazon are not liable. Okay. And you have to make sure you have the insurance to cover it. If not, we will take it out of your disbursements. And that's a possible time when they could potentially hold or withhold your disbursements until you can prove that you are not responsible for the liability of that product, or you have the insurance to cover it should it happen. And it's a really gray area. I'm going to be completely honest. It's a really gray area. So this is why the insurance is important, because I've had this, by the way, this is something I've experienced in business outside of Amazon. So I used to have a distribution company, and we developed certain types of products that were on the skin, and they had potential chemicals involved. So it's a topical product. And one time we had somebody purchase the product, and they had a reaction to this particular product. Now, because we were the distributor of the product, the responsibility actually laid with us, even though we didn't actually produce or manufacture the product, because we were the last person to sell it in the supply chain. So if this person was going to sue us, which they told us that they were fully intending on doing, then we would absolutely have to pay out if we didn't have insurance to cover it. And we were not even the owner of this particular product. We were just the distributor of this particular product, and it was actually brought through our website direct. Now, if I'd had sold this product to another reseller, i.e. a shop, an Amazon seller or something like that, the liability would have fallen to them. Luckily, we worked with a really great brand owner who took the responsibility of paying out and compensating this customer themselves throughout their own pocket. They didn't want it on their business record, and they were quite happy with, I mean, it was a small reaction, and they were probably overreacting. Bit of an ambulance chaser, you know, where there's a blame, there's a claim kind of thing. So he actually settled with them in the end, but he didn't really want, I suppose it's probably down to, he didn't want an official record of maybe something like that happening. I don't know, but I'll be honest, I was happy to pass that on. So we have to think about it from that point of view. I understand the need for the insurance as it stands in the Amazon business, because Amazon do not want the responsibility. If they haven't sold it, they're not going to cover your ass. It's as simple as that. So this has been a requirement in the US market, which we know is a lot more litigious than it is in the UK. But now they're moving it over to the UK. And I've got to stand on Amazon's side here a little bit and say, well, if you opened up any other type of business, you should have this type of insurance anyway. So again, it's another example of, if you want to scale this business, if you're trying to scale it on side hustle mentality, it's probably not going to work out for you. This is the sort of thing that you need to, it's a cost of business. It's another unexpected cost. Insurance costs, particularly in the UK, are through the roof at the moment. Probably most people are looking at maybe up to £100 a month for this type of insurance. So it's going to hit people an unexpected cost that they weren't expecting. But if you want to look at it from a ruthless point of view, it's probably also going to remove a certain amount of sellers that maybe weren't that serious and might have been getting in your way of competition. Now, obviously, Amazon are giving a little bit of leeway. I think is it $5,000 a month that you've got to be turning over, I think, before the insurance comes into place. So I think that's actually, I think that's quite fair on Amazon's part. They're not whacking it on from day one. Same as with low inventory fees as well. I'm not sure if anyone's aware, for that in the US, that doesn't apply for the first 12 months to new sellers. So I think Amazon are giving as much leeway as they can, but whilst protecting themselves at the same time, if that makes sense.
The Hive is a group of online sellers. We specialize in Amazon. We're a network, we're a community, and we're all about bringing success to everybody through expert content and resources that you just can't get anywhere else.
The Hive has SOPs, documentation, short videos, clips, long form videos, over the shoulder videos. It has everything you need.
Both for beginners and advanced sellers.
I mean, I probably thought that I knew quite a lot about the selling on Amazon in general, but then when I joined the Hive, it was almost like I only knew 10%.
We keep everything so up to date knowledge, up to date strategies.
Natalie, Matt and Johnny will just explain how it works in normal English.
The best part of being in the Hive is a
community.
Any question you have, you can put it in the Hive.
And you can get just problem solved so fast.
You can ask a question, there's an answer there within 5 minutes.
We are confident that you are receiving the best level of content out of any training and resource group in the world.
Yeah, Peter says it's more obstacles to negotiate, all a bit overwhelming for the newbies. Absolutely, I get it. And, you know, hopefully what I've said will just give you a little bit of reassurance in the sense that it's something that, yes, you probably weren't told at the start of this, of what you need. But for myself, that's been in business for X amount of years, this isn't a surprise because it's something that we always have as part of our business. So, you know, we have liability insurance for the US. We took out a separate one for that, but we've always had business insurance for the UK. You know, yes, we have a warehouse and everything like that as well. So unfortunately, it's business 101. And it always feels like Amazon is moving the goalposts. But when you actually sit down and think about it, it's not that unreasonable to what they're asking for. They're giving you access to a level of customers that you would not be able to simply achieve if you started a business from day one elsewhere. So, you know, you have to pay the piper, unfortunately, and Amazon does ask for its pound of flesh. There's no doubt about it. Largest retailer in the world. I think it's got its right to. By the way, you guys know me. I'm not like all pro Amazon or anything like that. I think sometimes Amazon, I have a love-hate relationship with Amazon. There's no doubt about it. But I think sometimes there needs to be someone that kind of maybe is in the middle and can look at it from both points of view. And I do get why Amazon do the things that they do and why they do it at times, to be honest. Morag says, I made it. Welcome, Morag. Good to have you here. I think you are the lady that I mentioned about maybe in Des's group. You've just had a section 3, if I can remember rightly. If so, I'll come on and talk about section 3s in a moment and some of the things that hopefully will be able to help you on that. Because I literally spent 2 minutes looking at the screenshot, and I think, well, let me just quickly say, I think it just sounds like a verification section 3. So it really is a case of just getting the information that Amazon is looking for, you know, calling up, speaking to account health. It sounds like it is probably quite a simple one to fix. They just want to verify who you are. The wording they use is horrendous. It's awful that the account has been deactivated, but at the end of the day, it is for your protection. The reason why Amazon have such stringent verification processes in place is if you get to a point in your business where they are holding, you know, tens of thousands of pounds of your money and somebody can get into that system and take it, then Amazon are going to be like, well, you guys didn't want these verifications. We wanted to put them in place. I'm talking about if we didn't have these stringent verifications. They're there ultimately for your protection and for Amazon's protection as well. So, you know, anybody can't get into your account and rinse it from its money. So I actually think Amazon has the best seller protection out of any of the platforms. You never hear, unless you guys want to correct me, but you never hear about anyone having any funds stolen from accounts by outside. I'm not going to go into whether Amazon steals funds, but you won't you never hear about it. It just doesn't happen because of those verification processes. Simon says the insurance you can get for 30 to 50 people, pay for the software. It's about priorities. Yeah, business, not side hustle. Amazon isn't a side hustle. Well, sorry, I'll tell a lie. You've got to make a choice. You're either running a side hustle or you're running a business. Amazon doesn't care which. So Amazon doesn't believe their platform is for running side hustles. So yes, absolutely, you can run a side hustle and you can do it for, you know, the good things, lifestyle business, all of that type of thing, but you won't get treated any differently. Amazon treats you as a business. That's the most important thing. Amazon is the king who cannot see you building a castle. They will send an army to punish you. Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes, for sure. So the company that we're mainly referring for this is Policy B by Hiscox. So they will cover you for US and UK market as well. So going contact with them. They really are going to be busy and have been busy over the last couple of weeks. There is no doubt about it, for sure. Yeah, I think Simon's already said Policy B. Great. Sylvia says, love it. So true. Bit of fire going on there. Oh, Cindy's there. Fashionably late. You're here. That's the most important thing. Hi, Sean. Good to see you. Sean Murray. Debbie said, I had a similar problem with makeup after a wedding trial for makeup. I had makeup tested, went through the variety of procedures. Turned out the client didn't know that they were allergic to latex. Very stressful at the time. Used the latex sponge for the application of the foundation. Absolutely, for sure. You can never know. And where there is blame, there is a claim. There is no doubt about that. Something we've adopted nicely from the US market, definitely over the last 20 years. No win, no fee. If you are running a business and you injure someone, you hurt someone, regardless of whether it is intentional or not, you are liable. It's as simple as that. So you want to make sure you protect yourself. In the same way now, we tell people, sign up for FSB. Federation of Small Businesses. It's a small annual cost per year, but the amount of protection that it can offer your business if you get any type of VAT investigation, they offer legal advice, things like this. If somebody was to come to you and say, hey, you sold me a product and it blew up in my house, you can use the FSB and you can ring them up and you can say, yeah, they're not going to cover you throughout a full barrister trial or anything like that, but you can get a good bit of solid advice from a trusted professional that will send you in the direction. It can offer you peace of mind. You can, hopefully they'll be able to turn around and say, actually, they've got probably no cause for concern here. You should do this, 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 and this. So, whatever that fee is, I'm terrible. I can never remember how much anything costs, but, I think it's 100 quid a year or something like that to be a member of the FSB. Might be 200 actually. Small cost of business to pay, for sure. And it's one of those things where people say, oh, I haven't used them in the last year. Should I carry it on? If you haven't used them, that's a good thing. So you don't want to be using these services. That's the way I always see it. It's there for if you have to use them, but not if you want to use them. Cindy said, we've had insurance in the UK for a while after your advice in ESA many moons ago. Yes, we've always, like I said, because we run business. We don't, run side hustles. So insurance, FSB, all of these type of things, cost of business for sure. Norshine is here. Good to see you. I have replied to your DM, by the way, so let me know that information. Simon said 4K a month. Okay, that's fair enough. So that's halfway to VAT registration. So I would think you should be, you should, by the time you're hitting 4K a month, you should know if this is for you or not at that point. So I think that's a fair figure, to be fair. Yeah, I agree. So low inventory fee and shipping plan fee, which is what is going on in the US, absolutely is something that's only going to help us sellers in the long term. It's going to get rid of some sellers that maybe are not quite cut out for this, maybe that are not aware of their business practices and what their bottom line is or could be. So it's definitely going to help in that respect. But what I will say is the biggest thing that we are most definitely seeing is we are seeing prices raised. So in the US, my average selling price before this was about $29. And I just rerun it again yesterday and it's gone up to $31. So I'm hoping that is because we are starting to see prices raised across the board. So that's something we continuously monitor. So yeah, that's only a good thing for us sellers for sure. Adele says, I have business insurance for my beauty brand. They don't cover products other than the ones I manufacture on Amazon. So they suggested I contact another insurer, but I've said to make sure the new insurance specifically covers Amazon selling. So yeah, absolutely. You will have two different types of insurance for you selling and producing your own products, which will be much more expensive than selling other people's products. So policy B absolutely should be able to sell you that. Sean said, did I hear you say the insurance we need is about £100 a month? I was looking at compare the market for public liability and products insurance for £129 a year. Wow. Well, if that's great, go for it. Amazon do require, I think, a certain level. So just double check what they're asking for. Because I already have it in the UK, I haven't really looked into it in too much detail. I know it'll be covered. But when we did our one in the US, I remember doing it and it has to have a certain level of cover. So just double check and make sure, Sean, that that's going to cover you for everything. Well, to be perfectly honest, Amazon will let you know whether it covers it or not. So it will assess once you've taken out the policy whether or not it's acceptable. So definitely use that list to make sure you're being covered for the right stuff. But if you have, for sure. Cool. Maureen says, good. Also a Happy Hive member. Welcome. Great to have you there. Now this is the question. Section 3. Sorry, my hay fever is playing up. Not snotting. I've got an itchy nose. Section 3. Is it coming to the UK? I think it will. But you've got to remember, again, part of the reason why I wanted to do this, Section 3 is not just one thing. Section 3 is Section 3 in the Amazon Terms of Service about seller conduct, okay? So Section 3 is a broad spectrum of different types of things. So when you get a deactivation notice or when you get something that happens on your account, it is taken from Section 3 of those terms. And so it could be anything. It could be, you know, Section 3 of bad behavior. And it doesn't say bad behavior, but, you know, I'm trying to think seller conduct. It could be manipulation. It could be fraud. It could be, and these are very strong words, obviously. These are Amazon's words, not mine. So it could be one of different things. So Section 3 already exists here in the UK. Just, I think, with what happened at just before Christmas in the US, we now have given Section 3 a specific title to what happened in the US, where verifications of supply chain was actually associated with that term. But Section 3 has always existed. Like I said, it's not necessarily an exclusive term to that. It's referring to any type of account health, naughty behavior, essentially, or Amazon deemed to be naughty behavior. So we already have Section 3 deactivations, but I think if you're referring to the verification of supply chain and then what could be subsequent deactivation, that is exclusively in the US at the moment, as far as I'm aware. But I suspect, yes, at some point, I would be surprised if that doesn't start coming to the UK. But it's only a problem if you have issue in your supply chain. And we've obviously been through it, so we know that as long as you have a sturdy supply chain, you should always be okay. But now the good thing is, and people forget this really quickly, we talk about all the negative things that come over from the US. Just a couple of weeks ago, a health assurance came over from the US. And people don't talk about that in the same way that they talk about the negative stuff. So if you have account health assurance, if you have been selling for longer than 6 months and you've maintained a score of more than 250 points on your account health, then you have and qualify for free account health assurance, which means that Amazon will work with you to resolve any account health issues should they arise on your account. So if Section 3, due to supply chain verification, does come to the UK, the majority of you sellers already have the account health assurance. So it shouldn't result in an immediate deactivation. What you're seeing at the moment is anybody that gets a Section 3 deactivation as a result of a Section 3 verification is because they do not have Amazon account health assurance. If you have that in place, which again, we talk about, if you are not, and there are loads of different metrics that make up the Amazon account health assurance score. If you do not have that, then this links back to what I was saying at the start. If you are scaling on side hustle mentality, or sorry, not trying to, if you are working on side hustle mentality, then it's going to be hard for you to maintain that 250 score. Amazon ain't stupid. So they know exactly what you have to be doing to be operating at that minimum level. And that's the baseline. If you are not operating at the 250 sustainably for 6 months, then you are not doing what Amazon wants and you are at risk. It's as simple as that. If you do not have that, then you are at risk. It's as simple as that. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. And when I come back from holiday, I'll do another live and we'll talk about this in a bit more detail about the metrics that make up the Amazon account health assurance score. So, you know, it's something that has got to be the minimum level of what people are working to achieve within their businesses. When you get the insurance, you have to volunteer. You have legally employers like with no less than 5 million. Okay, so Hayden says I pay $86 a month for my insurance. Hair looks like, oh, thanks, Hayden. Yeah, had it done. Yeah, pre-holiday glow up, having it done beforehand. FSB is amazing. Absolutely, they are. It's one of those types of low cost things that really support. And Hayden will back me up on this for sure if he hasn't commented already, because I'm a bit behind on comments. You know, they are absolutely phenomenal. If you need them, they are a real, you know, security blanket to be able to know that you can speak to somebody for reassurance, and you know that you're getting a good professional answer for sure. And they're professionals as well. So, oh yeah, there we go. Hayden's already said FSB helped me so much for my VAT investigation. Again, VAT investigation, something we talk about that scares the pants off of most people, but it's only an issue if you've been doing anything dodgy, and most people never experience it. If you have been in business for a certain period of time, then you must absolutely expect a VAT investigation at some point in your business. It's like jury service. You know, at some point it's probably going to happen to you, and you just don't panic if you do. Worst case scenario, you may have been doing something wrong, and it will be an opportunity for you to work with the HMRC to be able to correct it. They're not monsters, and you know they're really helpful. So communication is key with these sort of things for sure. You're on fire today. Di legito como Casanaro. I'm gonna have to look that up afterwards and see what it means. Thanks for that. Appreciate it. So yeah, FSB's on there. Fab. Yeah, go for it. If we've got some discount codes, that will be good for sure. Excellent. Thanks. Cindy is queen of discount codes. Wherever I think there's not a discount code, she always pulls one out from somewhere, for sure. So thanks for that. Appreciate it. Let me catch up today. I love you're positive, but I refuse to be positive about the HMRC. Well, do you know what? I think that especially with when I talk about being positive about the HMRC, it's things like when we think back to what happened at the start of the year with passive tax, and you know, people were really scared about what was going to happen in terms of were they going to be in a position where they were going to be fined, were they going to be in a position where you know, they were breaking the law or something like that. And where my positivity will always come from is always about communication. So what I mean by that is don't stick your head in the sand. They're not scary. as you think you are, as you think you are. And if they can offer you a solution, they absolutely will. So they're more understanding, I think, than their reputation suggests. So the most important thing is to always communicate with them and stay in contact with them, as opposed to just, quietly worry yourself to death about that. So that's the way that I tend to look at it, from a positive point of view, as opposed to they live in, unicorn and rainbow land. Definitely not. If you've done something wrong, they're going to nail your ass. It's as simple as that. But yeah, if you've done nothing wrong, if you're prepared to work with them, they're a lot more they're better to work with than I sometimes think people realize. Essentially, that's the way that we always look at it, for sure. Loads of you have jumped on today, so it's good. So the real theme of today absolutely was definitely about reassurance, and I hope that's come across, because as we move further and further into what Amazon is doing and developing their system, you've got to remember Amazon's quite vulnerable at the moment in terms of their king, as king in the castle, as someone said earlier. I think they're quite vulnerable for the first time I've ever really experienced as an Amazon seller, because they've got some platforms that are really starting to challenge their dominance of the market. Now, when I say challenge, I don't mean that anyone's snapping at their heels, but they have potential to. Of course, I'm talking about a platform like TikTok or something like that. Are they going to knock them off their perch in 2 years? Quite possibly not, but they could, which is the first time you've got, in particular, 2 or 3 companies, Shein, Temu, TikTok, these type of platforms that could challenge Amazon's dominance. So what we saw, and people forget this at the time, I remember when Walmart came out, and Amazon thought Walmart were going to be a bit of a challenger to them. As it turns out, they're not. But they thought potentially they could have the power to be able to do that. Testament to what Amazon's built, by the way, guys. Never underestimate what Amazon has built in its seller network and the ability that it offers so many sellers, and the infrastructure it does. No one's been able to match it so far, or even get close to it. So that's real testament to Amazon as a business and why they are number one in the market. But you have to think about Amazon a little bit like a wounded animal, wounded beast. So I think there's been a little bit of scratch made on them by these companies like Temu, Shein, TikTok, predominantly Far East run businesses. And Amazon is aware of that. So when an animal gets wounded, it tends to get quite defensive. And I think this is what we're starting to see now. They want to weed out the sellers that potentially could bring them harm. So they're on the defense at the moment. And we saw this a few years ago when Walmart came on. I remember reading a release from Amazon on the page at the time that said, if you are a Walmart seller, we might not let you sell on the Amazon platform at the same time. And that actually happened. They released it on their news page, and I would have posted it probably in the old Secret Wealth Project group or something like that at the time, that said, we like loyalty here at Amazon. If we find that you're posting similar products on the Walmart, we might restrict you selling them on the Amazon platform in the future. Now, that didn't actually ever come of anything, because that was around the time, I think, maybe 6 months or so before COVID, or at a time when actually Amazon, I think probably their legal department got involved or something like that. But at the time, Amazon then had other bigger fish to fry. So it became, and at the time I was like, wow, Amazon, wow. And you know what? That's because they felt comfortable enough saying that, because they knew no one could touch them. They knew Amazon and Walmart were potentially a threat to them. But in the grand scheme of things, even with Walmart's buying power and how far behind Amazon was in its development, they knew that they couldn't really touch them. So that's why they put out that threat. And then COVID happened and the world needed, those type of services. So therefore, it kind of checked itself, I think, Amazon at the time. But that was a very aggressive response to people. I'm going to have to try and see if I can dig that post out at some point. Knowing Amazon, they've probably managed to go through social media and get it removed in some respect. But if you dig deep enough, you'll probably be able to find it. So code might not be working, Cindy. So maybe if you want to check on that. Rakan said, applied 3 times to Walmart and they reject me all the time. Yeah, for sure. They're quite picky, Walmart, as far as I can see, which is crazy because I did actually go on and have a look at the market for Walmart. And to be honest, it looks very low kind of rent compared to Amazon. The structure of the marketplace doesn't look very good. But not only that, the products on there don't look particularly great either. So, but I understand there is definitely I was looking on Helium 10 because they've got a search volume for Walmart in the US as part of their tool, so you can measure demand in the Walmart market as well. They do look like they've got a bit of good demand, definitely, and I think it's at early stages still in its development. So if you're selling in the US, then obviously it makes sense potentially to sell in on that market as well. But yeah, super strict. You've got to prove that you've got a physical business, I think, with Walmart. As I remember, I had a look at the application page. I haven't really got any interest in Walmart at the moment, so I haven't pursued it a little bit more. But yeah, they definitely want more of a solid business for sure, and a website, I think, or a minimum of a website. Amazon has a challenge from TikTok, even TikTok offering fulfillment, and they have vouchers to make it cheap to buy from them. Absolutely. That's not going to last forever, and Amazon know that. So I've heard lots of arguments once the vouchers, once the kind of loss leading attitude from TikTok goes, will TikTok customers stay? What we know through past experience, when Amazon developed a shitload, excuse my French, new customers to COVID, the majority of the customers stayed because they had a great trusted experience. We know when it comes to Amazon, customer is king. There's no doubt about it. They treat their customers really, really well. We had it just the other day. So Matt said to me, we did an A2A flip. So this was on the business side of things. And the product that we bought was dangerous goods. And we don't sell a lot of dangerous goods. So we decided to send it back. And Amazon straight away said, yeah, here's a full refund. Don't worry about sending it back. Well, I can't resell all that on Amazon regardless, because now I don't have proof of supply chain. So guys, please, if you ever get given free product, do not be tempted to sell that. This is something that people, again, dealing with the Section 3, if you cannot prove supply chain, which I no longer can on these products because Amazon has given me a refund, and if I try and submit that as an invoice, Amazon's going to come back to me and accuse me of fraudulent behavior because I didn't pay for those goods and now I'm trying to resell them. I do not have proof of supply chain, and I am actually doing something that would be considered fraudulent in their eyes. So if you get free product, if someone gives you a product, if you're selling your Uncle Bob something or another, if you're tempted to do that, just don't. It's not worth the risk on your Amazon account. I have seen people lose their accounts for less. It's as simple as that. So, but yeah, they, even as a business customer, I'll tell you what it was. It was sun cream. So it's going to come in handy for the holidays and the lovely summer, hopefully, that we're going to have in the UK. We've definitely got enough supply of sun cream to keep us going for a while, for sure. So, yeah, hopefully Cindy can come back with some extra dates. But the whole theme of today, most definitely, is that continuation on from last week where we talk about And I don't want anyone to misconstrue and say, well, Natalie says, actually, the only way that you can be an Amazon seller is to be a 7-figure seller, or the only way that you can do it is if you do it like this, and you have to be a high volume seller and all this. That's simply not true. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, we all need to make a choice in life. Is this a side hustle or is this a business for you? If it's a business, then there's certain things that you've absolutely got to expect, as we all do. These barriers and things that Amazon put in place, they're not uncommon in the real world of business. Business liability insurance, I've said it. You open any business in the UK, you have to have business insurance. It's as simple as that. It's a cost of business. There's no doubt about it. Amazon do treat sellers unfairly. Absolutely. There's no doubt about it when you're in the system, especially when you've got everything. But I will always come back to everything's resolvable on Amazon for the relentless. You only fail when you give up. And it's about managing your own expectations versus Amazon. Just because you think you have all of the information that you need in order to supply it, that might not align with Amazon. So you have to keep going. You have to keep pushing, you have to keep submitting, and you have to keep ringing them up. You have to keep talking to them. There's a myth that if you call them too many times within a certain period of time that they won't speak to you. Not true. Never seen it happen. So you've got to be able to keep working with Amazon to find out what they want. Now, yes, they could be a bit helpful or more helpful and just tell us what they need. But I suppose their argument is we shouldn't have to tell you. If you're a legit business owner, you should know. I'll leave that point there because I think that might make me unpopular by saying that. But what I'm saying is they don't care if they're talking to me, someone that's been in business for 15 years, or someone that's been talking for 3 months. We're going to get treated the same in terms of expectation for what we want. But I always say with deactivations, verifications, not all deactivations and verifications are equal. You have to, know to ask the questions and supply the information for which are which. So there's different levels of it. So Morag, we were talking earlier about your type of deactivation. Yours is verification, identity verification. If you were to win the deactivation lottery, I'll be honest, that's the best one to win because, identity is going to be one of the, if you are who you say you are, is going to be one of the easiest things to prove, right? So from my point of view, yes, it's scary. Yes, it's awful. And you see that deactivation and God, Amazon needs someone from the PR team to work with them to how they word stuff a lot of the time. But if you're going to have a type of deactivation, that's the best one to have, to be perfectly honest. So yeah, exactly. So the wording scares the crap out of me. 100%. Their wording is friggin' awful when it comes to it. So it scares the life out of people for sure. Whereas if you get a Section 3 deactivation and it's due to fraud or deception or manipulation of documentation or something like that, yeah, I'm afraid that's not good news, and it's going to take time to sort out. But I do not believe that any deactivation is permanent. Again, I spoke about this quite in depth last week. I don't believe it's permanent. It's a case of getting to a resolution with Amazon and them understanding that you know that. How do you fix it? Okay. And what will you do differently to ensure that it doesn't happen again in the future? So Amazon has lots of metrics. It has lots of KPIs, and those that if you do work with, you most definitely have to be more concise. They don't want to hear about how, the next time it happens to you that you might, not go down that route because when it happened before, you were talking to your next door neighbor and then the cat got run over and something else happened. They want clear and concise reasoning what has occurred. They want admission for what has occurred, acknowledgement of what has occurred, and then they want to know how you're going to prevent that from happening in the future, because The reason is, and if no one knows this, why they're so strict, their customers are king. You are a risk to their reputation. You are a risk to their customers. That is absolutely why they react and they shoot first, don't ask any questions later, and leave you dead in the gutter. They will have no issues with that whatsoever. And if you can't get on board with that, then Amazon's going to be a bumpy ride for you forever, because it's the way Amazon is. They will protect their customer base, their reputation, and their position in the marketplace above anything else. And you're a potential, issue to that. So that's why they do what they do. And I think that only comes with working on Amazon for a long period of time. I don't agree with it, by the way. I think they could do it in a much better way that would absolutely benefit everybody. So I understand why they do what they do, but I just want to make it clear I don't agree with it. There could be so much better ways that they could to be able to deal with it. But I think the reality of, you just got to come a little bit of a the more you do it, the more you harden to it. There's no doubt about it. Anyone that saw us through our deactivation and the Section 3, we generally, of course we worried about it. I'd be lying if we say we didn't. And we lost money. We lost multiple 5 figures based off of that deactivation and the Section 3. There's no doubt about it. But all I could do was the stuff that I had control over. I didn't have control about what Amazon was doing. All I could do was what I could do. So one of the biggest threats at the moment is on Amazon for the average seller, I would say, is supply chain issues, authentication, counterfeit issues, which are connected to supply chain, and identity issues. So if you want to be an Amazon seller, you've got to make sure all of those ducks are in a row. Your identity is provable. You have a major piece of documentation always up to date that you can supply, i.e. a passport, a driver's license. I think they're the 2 major ones that they accept. Something like registration on electoral roll will also always be really handy. Something like a utility bill, again, to prove residency in the UK or whatever country you are a resident of. You must make sure that there is a paper trail covering your ass, essentially, for you as a person and for your business as well. So you must make sure that you have those verifications on your identity personally, as the business owner, and the business as well. So company house documentation, all of that. And it's got to be able to match to everything as well. The amount of people I speak to where I say, if I was to go on your company's house right now, would that address match that address? And the amount of non-matches is quite astounding, to be perfectly honest. So always make sure that you have the right information. The second part of the matrix, the puzzle, is where you get your products from, and supply and proving that supply more than anything else. These are the 2 key and most important things at the moment. You must be able to produce legitimate supply chain, not receipts, not invoices anymore, not just that. Supply chain, and that documentation forms part of that. Receipts are okay as long as you can provide fully itemized receipts for a legitimate supplier of that product. Okay, so if you are not sure if that place that you are buying from is a legitimate supplier from the product, simply don't buy. Move on, find another deal. So always think about the places that you're buying from. If I have a choice to buy something from Tesco, or I have a choice to buy something from, I don't know, my local shop, and it's more expensive to buy it from Tesco's, but there's still profit in it, I'm going to buy it from Tesco's, because I know I'll be able to support and supply legitimate supply chain. Because yes, I will get a receipt from Tesco's, or an invoice from Tesco's, or an order confirmation from Tesco's, which is more than enough, providing I can show that I purchased it from that product and there is a link back to legitimate supply. So something like Tesco's, if I buy from Tesco's, I supply my proof of receipt. Then I will also do a screenshot of that product on Tesco's. Hopefully it's still there. I will do a screenshot of Tesco's and its company information. And ideally, I will go back to the brand manufacturer and hopefully show a screenshot and proof that Tesco's is a legitimate supplier of that particular product. So in an ideal world, I will want to be able to track back that level of supply chain. So now it's not necessarily just about the receipt of proving authenticity. It's about proving the product is authentic and having it bought from an authentic source. I see still lots of people talking about letter of authority, but providing you can do what I've just mentioned there, that should be enough. They will test you. In some of these interviews, I was told this myself by an expert that and someone who knows Amazon inside out, that when they ask you questions, it's a trick. And what they want you to say is an admission of guilt. No, I don't have that. Or why would I have that? Or I shouldn't have that. Don't admit anything. That all goes to it. And it all builds up as something for you. So it's always good to sort of say, if you don't have anything, say, I don't have it with me at the moment, or something like that. This is what I have as evidence right now. And prove your supply chain, especially in an interview situation. Because if you say to them, no, I don't have a letter of authority, then you're almost saying, no, I don't. I don't have legit supply. But you don't need the letter of authority to prove legitimate supply. Does that make sense? Let me know if it does. Hopefully it does. So yeah, I might have said that a bit backward, but yes, if you're admitting you don't have authority to supply, they will take that word. So it's more a case of saying, I have this instead, or I have this. This is what I have. Instead of saying, no, I don't have that, because yeah, you're admitting you don't have the authority, or you do not have the legitimacy of supply. So hopefully someone can let me know that that made sense. Fingers crossed it does. A couple more questions, then I'm going to hop off. Yeah, B&Q using third-party items in their catalog and range. Every shop is, every major shop. Do you remember we spoke about this years ago? You probably won't. We spoke about this years ago, and I remember when I first started seeing Argos go into Sainsbury's and Specsavers and Yo Sushi and all of these different types of concessions. Well, the same thing, which is a really smart business move, by the way. Concessions are fantastic, really smart for all sides of the party, to be perfectly honest. So it makes sense to have concessions, no doubt about it. And online retailers are doing exactly the same. You go to any major retailer, they're all marketplace now. They are all marketplace. Superdrug, B&Q, and you don't know it until you know it, until you see it. It's like being a little bit marketplace blind. So we know it because we're used to dealing with marketplaces. But and guess who they're copying? Guess who they're following? Amazon. Amazon was the first one to allow third-party sellers to come onto their marketplace, to come on and directly sell to their customer. Now everyone wants a piece of the pie. Next, they all do it. You go on all of them, New Look, all of these websites, and they're all selling other people's products. And they're not even hiding it anymore now, because they're all drop shipping for each other as well. So what I would do if I'm looking for something that's out of stock, at a certain retailer, there's no point in going on looking at in some of the other marketplaces, because that one is drop shipping all of the rest. So it definitely makes sense, and it covers the market in its entirety. So you're going to see this is the survival of retail, online and physical as well. Concessions working together and taking a bit of other people's audiences for sure. I've just seen Cindy's comment, deactivation lottery. Yeah, that's a new one. I thought I'd try and put positive spin on it. Amazon is part of the matrix. Definitely. So a couple more questions, then I'm going to pop off. Speaking of account health, should we be closing, deleting listings? Yeah, delete, 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 delete. No close, delete. Simple as that. Years ago, we used to give the advice to close, but now it's delete, delete, delete. So unfortunately, deleting listings will not save you for a Section 3 verification supply chain if it comes through. That does not, but it will save you for, it will save you for potential IP claims, received IP claims, and anything like that. So once you are done selling them, just delete them. Absolutely. If anything comes back into stock, or you get a return, or if they find a lost unit or something, you'll just go into stranded, and you can choose what you want to do with it at that point. So delete, delete, delete for sure. Yeah, again, I agree. Sometimes, in some cases, it doesn't matter, but yes, definitely still delete for sure. Will it affect your IPI score if you keep listings with no stock? Yes, absolutely. So delete, delete, delete. Because if you think about it, and it affects your account health assurance score as well, because Amazon, if you're keeping a listing on your account, it's expecting to receive stock. And if it is not receiving that stock, it's going to think you're not very good at stock management or inventory management, which is ultimately what Amazon want us sellers to do. It doesn't want us understocking. It doesn't want us overstocking. It wants us to find a really nice balance of the two, where we sit somewhere where we're holding around 30 to 60 days continuously of the stock. Now, that's not realistic for the majority of resellers. But at the same time, you want to make sure you get close to it if you're not going to restock it. Do not let Amazon think that you can. Don't let Amazon be led to believe that you're going to restock that item when you don't need to. So, and also check other marketplaces as well. So I always say, and I talk about this in the Hive. So this is a Hive secret essentially. Always keep an eye on all of your different marketplaces, because if you want to progress, if you want to open up global accounts, if you want to get something like brand registry, and you delete a listing from your UK marketplace, but it's still valid and it's still there in your German, and you get IP claims and potential deactivations there, that could inhibit your growth into different global marketplaces, or rejection of something like brand registry, which is the direction in which we are all heading in terms of, or if you're building business, you will likely have to at some point look to open either a different global market or register a brand on Amazon. So you don't want to be falling into the trap of sloppy listings left open in different marketplaces that could cause you issue later down the line. Just don't give Amazon the excuse. Look, the way I always see it is they will take us to town. So let's not give them any extra excuse to, help them do that for us, if that's okay. Yes, that is untrue, Sean. It does work, but the system, sometimes there's a glitch that sometimes I'll rephrase that. In theory, it should work, but I've been around the block long enough that I check it for myself, if that makes sense. And it's always good to check for sure, just to have that reassurance. Okay, good. Thanks for that, Morag. Confirming that made sense. So good to know. So, guys, I'm not here for the next 3 weeks. I think I'm away on a fully funded trip by Jeff. Thanks for that. Thanks for the flights and the lovely trip that we're going to be going on. So, by the way, Jeff didn't pay for it, just in case anyone's new here. So, yes, we are going away on holiday, and it's a lovely guru claim of our Amazon business funding it through flights and cashback and whatnot, anything like that. So one of the absolute great perks and benefits of being an Amazon seller, we're going to realize that in the next few weeks. So I'm sure that I'll be answering questions in the group, but like I always say, whilst I'm not here, I'm not here. So please feel free to use the group to ask any questions, and you know, any issues or anything like that, unless they're absolutely urgent. Like I said, I am away, so yes, I'm not going to be answering messages. I'm going to be completely honest. So I will keep an eye, and if there is anything urgent, I'll try and pick it out. But it's my time away with my family and my kids, so I am going to be enjoying that for sure. It's been a long time coming. So thank you guys, really, really appreciate it. So I will be back in 3 weeks. I think Johnny will be here. I can't remember when I'm back. It's either 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I can't remember. I think it's 3 weeks today I'm back. So Johnny will be here. I'm not sure if he's going to be here with guests or whether he's going to be here on his own. I'm not 100% sure. So, but he will keep you updated throughout the weeks in times of when the streams are going to be. And then when I'm back, we're going to have a few more guests on. I'm talking to a number of people, some really high value sellers that are going to be coming on and giving some advice, certainly throughout June and July. There we go. There's Johnny. For anyone wanting to learn how to earn points from travel. Oh, thanks for that, Cindy. Really appreciate it. I think that's my maybe Johnny can come on while I'm away, living the Amazon dream. Johnny can come on and maybe talk about his travel plans and how everything he's much better at it than me, by the way. He is someone that is way better at maximizing points and benefits when it comes to this. So maybe he'll come on and talk about that next week or something like that. But great to see everyone. Really interactive today. There was loads of you on here, so really do appreciate it. And I will see you in about 3 weeks. Stay safe, everyone. Stay out of Amazon trouble. And as always, yeah, much prospect to everyone. See you later. Bye.